Hey everyone, and welcome to my craft room. My name's Julianne Richards, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in southern Tasmania. Um, as you guys know, that anyone who watches me on a regular basis knows that I generally like to do my videos live on a Saturday morning. There's only actually two reasons that I would ever not go live, and generally only ever go live. One of them, I suppose, being if I'm doing something a little bit tricky and I don't want to make a fool of myself, or I'm busy doing something else, or I've got something else planned for that Saturday morning. Today, I'm recording the video, and it is because I actually will be away from home. I'll actually be in Canberra on Saturday morning visiting some dear friends. But another reason that I'm actually recording this video live is that these little gift bags that I'm going to show you how to make, one little and one a bit larger, are actually presents for these people. So I didn't really want the video to go out before I see them on later in the week. So I decided to record it today, release it on Saturday, and then they will have their presents by then, so it won't be ruining the surprise. Anyway, so I've got, as I say, two little gift bags here. This one's fairly large. It's a 6x6. If you can tell the size, it's a bit hard with the camera. 6x6, sort of this way, and it's 3 inches wide at the widest part down the bottom here, tied together with a little red ribbon, and I've got a tag on the back. The nicest part of this one, I think, is that I've used the Bouquet of Love hybrid embossing folder to actually emboss a panel there and add a little red heart as well. So I'll show you popping that on fairly soon as well. And I'm using the Sweet Talk Designer Series paper on the sides and the back as well. So that's a really nice size one. Same sort of thing with this little one. It's a smaller one. I think it's 4 inches square. It might even be a little bit taller, 4 3/4 tall, I think. 2 inches wide at its widest point. And this time I'm using the Pretty Flowers embossing folder. You can see better on that side there. That's the Pretty Flowers embossing folder, and I've got a gift tag there as well. So the sentiments and the images are all from the Coming Up Very Soon Happiness Abounds stamp set, which goes on sale to customers on the 4th of May. So I thought I'd use that one just because it's got some lovely little flowers and sentiments which sort of fit what I wanted to say to these wonderful friends of mine. Okay, so I'm going to make one small one, and then I'm going to show you how to scale it up to make the big one. So the small one's really good in the fact that it uses only half a sheet or half an A4 sheet of cardstock to do the sort of the round, the edges part. Obviously, it's got the two sides are made with designer series paper, so that's really good as well because you can vary the width of it, and you don't really have to worry about not having enough cardstock or enough width of cardstock. I've added another panel of cardstock front and back with the embossing on it, and that's only because I tried to emboss the actual body of the card, but it made the cardstock a bit flimsy, took away the integrity as it does when you put them through embossing folders. So I've kept the integrity of the actual gift bag and just added the embossed panel for decoration over the top rather than being sort of structural, I suppose. This is a polished pink ribbon here. I did this really dark, really late in the afternoon, and it was really dark in the craft room, so I couldn't be sure that my pinks went together too well. So I'm not too unhappy with it, but I probably wouldn't have used, if I'd have had the cool light of day, I'm not sure. But anyway, that's what it is now, so we won't turn back from that. Okay, so let's do the small one, and I'll show you the measurements. Don't worry too much about not getting them because I will pop, as usual, a little a project up on my site so you can copy the measurements from there. But I'll go through them quickly, and so just in case you can pick them up as you go. So this is and I've got to remind myself, 11.5-inch piece of Blushing Bride cardstock. It's 4 4 1/8 inch wide. So basically you can get 2 of these out of an A4 piece of cardstock. You guys know that's the way I usually like to do things, so I don't waste. Then I've scored it at, so starting from this edge, doesn't really matter too much, 4 3/4 and 6 3/4. So it's an 11.5 inch piece of cardstock scored at 4 3/4. Oh, and you can't even see that. Apologies. 4 3/4 and 6 3/4. So the gap between those two scores is 2 inches, and they both, and it forms that sort of even shaped U. There, it is even. Trust me, even though it doesn't look it on the camera. Camera must be a bit skew. Anyway, so yeah, so it's the same distance from there to there. Okay, so that forms, as you can see, the main structure of our gift bag. Then what we've got is other panels of Blushing Bride, and they are cut 1/8 of an inch smaller, so they would be 3 7/8 by 4 5/8. And I've popped this one, as I mentioned before, through the Pretty Flowers embossing folder. So I've got one of those embossed for the front and one embossed for the back. So I might as well pop those on now just to get them out of the way. So I'll just pop some glue on the back there. And pop that on there. As I said, just being a little bit careful because we wanted to maintain the strength of our bag. So that's why I didn't think it was, depending on what you're going to put in the bag, of course. If it's not going to be very full or have to stand up to any punishment, you could get away with it, but it did make it a little bit flimsy. So there we have our embossed panels on the front and on the back. The bottom of our bag is left blank, but you could put something there if you wanted to, but probably okay to have a blank bottom. Okay, so that's there. So now we're going to do the sides. So I have 2 pieces of my designer series paper here. So this, as I said, is the Sweet Talk designer series paper, and they are, from memory, 5 1/4 by 3. Yep. So 2 pieces, 5 1/4 by 3. Now I have to score these, and I thought I would show you how to score them because I think probably it's not very complicated, but it's probably the most complicated part of this design. And even that's not very complicated. So grab your trimmer or your scoreboard or whatever it is that you use to score with. I'm actually contemplating getting a scoreboard because I see people using them and they do look very handy. And you've got to score the 2 long sides. So the 2 long sides you score and what's going to become the bottom. So the 2 sides and the bottom. And you have to score them in 1/2 inch. So each of those, grab your scoring blade. I'm doing both at the same time, but you wouldn't have to. Scoring. Now be careful when you're scoring designer series paper because it's not as sturdy as our cardstock. If you score too hard, you're going to go straight through it. So the 2 sides and what will eventually become your bottom, you need to score 1/2 inch in from the edge. Okay, so there we are. I'll just bring that a wee bit closer so you can see. So 2 long edges and what's eventually going to be the bottom. Now, to help your gift basket close up, I'm also going to score halfway along. So I'll turn that around so it's the right way up. So that's going to be our bottom of our bag there. And there's our 2 sides. So I'm going to score just down about a third of the way down, halfway of what's eventually going to become the top of our bag. So I'm going to do that at 1.5 inches, which is basically halfway. Grab my scoring blade, not my cutting blade, don't make that mistake again, and just score halfway down. Just do 1/2 or a third, just put a score mark in there. And that's going to, if you can imagine, once this is all together, that will help our bag sort of bend at the top. I'll show you here, bend at the top where it needs to fit the design. Okay, so we'll get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. Now we're going to grab your scissors and using the score marks as a guide, just grab your scissors and cut out the little squares on the corners. So just cut them out, just that little junction, that little corner square, just like that. Okay, and then turning it up, so this is the top, then just cut a little shoulder or a little triangle just off the edge. So there's our score mark. Just cut that little triangle off. That just makes the top of the box a wee bit neater. So we'll repeat that with our other one. Just cutting out the little squares. And then pop just a little triangle up the tops. Okay, so that's all you need to do there. So we might as well bend up all our little bits now. Burnish them if you so desire. Okay, so there we are. So now we're going to bring back our little cardstock gift bag. And we're going to start gluing it together. So this is the paper, the pattern that I want on the outside. Okay, so the dots are going to be on the inside. So what we're going to do is grab some glue and pop just on that little tag there, but just on the side that we're actually facing out, and pop that in between the score lines at the bottom of our bag. So we're just gluing that there. So what you're actually going to do is line up the edges where you've cut with the score lines, and then these little outy bits, or the bit that you've cut out, will line up pretty much exactly with the edge of your bag. Okay, so score in the middle, that 2 inches there corresponds with the 2 inches of the bottom of our bag, and these little flaps line up with the edge of the cardstock. What we're going to do is then bring that up, and as you can see, that will form the wall of our bag. So we'll do the other side as well. Pop some glue on that side there, line it up with our the bottom of our bag. So the tab goes between the two score lines. The little shoulders line up with the edge of the bag. Just going to get a little bit excess glue off there. And you've formed like a little cross there, I suppose you could say. It's a little cross of cardstock and designer series paper. Oh, I don't know what I'm putting my glue away for. Okay, so now we're going to glue these tabs to the edges of the bag. So I found it easier to concentrate on one side at a time. So concentrate on this side first, or one side first, doesn't matter which one. Pop some glue. I've got to remember how I thought was easier. How did I think it was easier? Yeah. Probably easier just to stick with one side first. So we'll start there. Pop some glue onto the little tabs, little edges. Just one layer there, and one along there. Okay. Then we're going to line them up with the edge of the cardstock. So I'm going to bend that down so you can actually see what I'm doing. I'm actually going to line up the score in the designer series paper with the edge of the cardstock. So exactly lined up, and then just firm it down with your finger, and then come back with the other one that you've also put glue on. Line it up exactly. There you are. So line it up and pop your finger along it as well. There we are. So lined up on the edges, and then just firm it down so the glue takes. So you've got half your bag together there. Okay. Now we'll do the same bit. This one's a bit easier because everything's sort of facing the right way. Pop it again with end of glue there, line of glue there. And again, this time we're going to flip it over. I find it easier to do it coming in from the top. Line it up with the edge. So I'm just lining it up and then firm it inside. You can't see what I'm doing, but firming it inside with my finger so it takes. And I'll do the same on the other side. You unfortunately can't see inside like I can, but I'll just lining that up with the edge of the cardstock and firming it with my finger. So the score there of your designer series paper is perfectly matching the edge of your cardstock little bag. Okay, and that forms a box. Okay, because we've put some score lines down here, that little bit there will bend in pretty easily on both sides, and that forms the closure of our little bag there. Okay, so that's pretty much done. Not much else to it apart from that. I haven't really gone overboard with any decoration on the front or the back because I just really like the embossing. I think that's enough in itself. I am going to do a little gift tag, which is one of our tailored tags. And this time I thought I would use, as I say, I've been using the flowers out of the Happiness Abounds, but you could use any flower at all, really. I'm going to use the large one. I'm going to sort of duplicate what I did on that original. Quite like that. I played around with the other flowers and I didn't quite like it as much as I did that one. I'm going to just use one of the big flowers. Just going to come in at the end of the gift tag and pop one of them there, just like that. I'm going to then bring in my sentiment. I'm going to use the same sentiment as I did with the others because I want to say the same thing to all my lovely friends who I'm visiting in Canberra. You are wonderful in every way. So I'm going to pop that on just crossways slightly. Just sort of just up and away from that little flower a wee bit. And then I'll bring in the flower again and pop that. And pop one on that side. And another one coming in from that side just for a bit of difference. There we are. So and then I'll get my blends that match. So I've used Blushing Ride, I've used, what other colours are there on that one? Real Red, Poppy Parade. I don't think there is a Blushing Bride blend, sadly, but I might just use, in this one, I'll use my Poppy Parade, I think, or Real Red. Which one? Poppy Parade. Yep, no, I'll use Poppy Parade. So I'm just going to colour these in Poppy Parade. I'm just going to use the dark one. I'm not going to bother with any shading or anything like that. Just matte colour. And these do look a little bit like poppies, so I'll give them a black centre. Okay, we finished the first one. Okay. Last one. Something very striking about that red up against the white. And as I say, I'm going to give them little black centres, so you'll lose a bit of the detail from the centre, but I don't think that's too much of a problem. There they are. So you are wonderful in every way. And that's quite a nice little tag. So I'm going to pop that onto the back of my little box, or the front, whatever that is. I'll pop some bling on. I did have some bling here somewhere. Yes, here we go. Some iridescent gems. There we are. And that's our little gift tag there, just for the back of our little, or the front of our little box. Okay, I'm going to grab some ribbon. I think in this case, because I've used a red on our little tag, I'm going to use a red ribbon rather than the polished pink. I have a real red ribbon here. I'll just cut myself a length. I think I worked out I need about 26 inches to go around the edge, so it's not a little amount of ribbon. That's to leave, here we go, that's to leave a nice sort of flowing bow at the end. So to attach the ribbon the way I have, which is with these smaller ones, it's I found it quite easy to just wrap it around rather than put holes in the box. So I'm just going to pop, get a sort of 4-inch piece of double-sided tape. Just pop that on the back of the box, or whichever side you decide is the back. And drape your ribbon halfway onto the back of the box there, and firm it down with the double-sided tape, so that's not going to slip off. That's going to stay exactly where you want it. Then bring it round to the front and firmly but gently. So you don't want to pull it too tight, because you will pull the sides of your box in too far and damage it. If you're not all thumbs and fingers like I am today. Firmly sort of bring the box closed, and then just tie. Obviously, when you've got whatever it is you want to put inside your actual little gift, you wouldn't be giving somebody just an empty box, I shouldn't think. And then tie the knot closed. Tie the bow. Now, it's not going to be hugely, like if you've got tiny things in there, they may jiggle out. So you've got to sort of judge yourself what's the best way of closing it. If you've got little things in there, you might be best to put them into a plastic bag first or something like that. So there I just have a little bow holding that closed. And then what I'll do is pop some glue on the back of my tag, just at the top there. Slip that in under the bow so it looks like it's being held by the knot itself, and then just glue that on. There we are. Okay, so that's my cute little gift box there. So I'm going to fill that with some yummy treats for, giving it away for the people I'm staying with in Canberra this week. Okay, so that's the small one, the 4x4. I'll actually now show you how I've scaled that up to the 6x6, so this big one here. So you can't get away with one piece of cardstock for the scaled up version, because I've got it, this one is 6x6 with a 3-inch base. So it's 6 inches there, 3 inches there, and 6 inches there. So that's 6, 12, 15. So it's actually 15 inches of cardstock. So obviously, unless you've got some very specialty cardstock, I haven't got anything that's 15 inches long. So I've used two individual pieces of cardstock, which I haven't got, which we're going to glue together. So I've got 2 pieces of, again, Blushing Bride, and they are cut to 9 inches long. So 9 inches, nope, don't know what I'm doing there, 9 inches long, 6 inches wide, 9 inches long, 6 inches wide, and I've scored them at 3 inches. Well, 3 inches, so scored 3 inches from that end, and I've got 2 of them. So 6 by 9, scored at 3. All I'm basically going to do is add some glue to the back of the 3-inch panel and just line it up with the other one, and they will fit together like that. So here already you can see that's our gift bag taking shape. So we've got 6 inches and then a 3-inch gap and then another 6 inches at the end. And that's basically what we've got, except we've got sort of a double strength base with the 2 layers of cardstock glued together. So that's basically our big gift bag there. So how the other pieces of the puzzle come together, I've got because it's a 6x6 card front back, I've got a piece of Blushing Bride. So this is the one I've just popped that straight through the embossing folder without the dies, just to give us that straight embossing. So that's the Bouquet of Love embossing folder, or what I call it, hybrid embossing folder, but I've just used it straight as an embossing folder, and that's again Blushing Bride. So I'm going to bring that and just pop it straight onto, well, what will be the front, back. It's all a bit confusing. What's the front or the back of these? Of the cut of the of my gift bag. It's so sweet, this one, with all the little flowers and things. So there we are. So that's just straight onto the front of the bag. Then I've got from, I think this is Real Red. Yep, it would be Real Red. I have used the embossing folder part, or the hybrid embossing folder part of the bundles, and I've cut out a Real Red heart. So this is, if you haven't seen me use this embossing folder, I'm sure I've used it in previous videos. You just put the die actually in the embossing folder, pass it through your machine, and it cuts and embosses at the same time. So I've got a little heart, and that's the little heart that you can see fits perfectly in the middle there. So you've got pink all over except for a little red heart in the middle. So I'm just going to add some glue. I was thinking about putting some dimensionals in under this, but I thought probably it would be okay without it. I don't want it to fall off in my luggage or anything like that. You can actually feel, because they're both got the same embossing, both the pink and the red, you can feel it slip into place. So you know that you've got it exactly overlapping where it's supposed to be. Okay, so that's so quick and easy. Okay, so let's pop the rest of this together. Again, I've got our Sweet Talk Designer Series paper, and I've got another piece here. So the thing is, because this is a 6-inch high gift bag, these pieces had to be 6.5 inches tall. So obviously that's more than half the width of a piece of cardstock, designer series paper. So this one is just what's left there. That'll fit onto the front of my gift bag. You know me, I don't like to waste things. So we're going to do the same thing with this. These are the same thing as we did with our little one, our little bag. Just going to score it top, sides and bottom at 1/2 inch. So that's one side. This one's going to be our bottom. Sorry, I haven't come high enough, but you can see it's exactly the same as I did with the other one. And the side. And again, the part that I've chosen is going to be the top. Pop that at halfway. 2, should be 2. Yep, pop that and halfway, and I'm just going to score like 1/3 of the way down, just to give that little bendy bit that we need for our card to close, for our bag to close. So there we are. Again, same as we did with the last one. I'm going to cut out the little squares in the corners. Getting a bit cocky now. I'm going to do it both at the same time. Hope it stays lined up. And then I will cut off the little triangles at the top. Okay. Okay, let's bring our little box in. Again, we're going to line up the tabs, the bottom tabs with the sides to form our cross. And then one side at a time to seal it up completely. Now I tried to do this with, what did I try? I tried to do this with, was it double-sided tape or snail? I think it might have been double-sided tape. No, I think it was snail. I tried to do this with snail because snail's so much quicker, and it wasn't strong enough to hold it closed once the bag was full. So try and pick a fairly strong adhesive, just so it's going to stand up to whatever present you decide to put inside. I think if I'd probably used the Seal Plus, I probably would have been better off, but for some reason the snail didn't stay very firm. Okay, so we've got this one's a bit big for my whole camera, isn't it? It's going to not going to show it all at the same time. Okay, so again, we're going to add some glue. Choose whichever side we're going to do first. Add some glue. Obviously didn't look quite as clumsy when I was making them myself. It's just a bit difficult to try and work out the best angles to show you. So I've got glue on those 2 tabs there, and I'll bring them over, line them up, and firm them down. Lining it up with the edge and just firm them down. And bring this one in. So it's waggling around there with all glue on it, sticking to everything. So that one's okay. Now we'll add some glue to these ones. Looks a bit like a cake box, doesn't it? Okay, so we've got some glue there. I'll flip it over and do the same. Just lining it up with the edge on both sides. There we are. Okay, and there is our box this time. Much, much bigger. Okay, and again, because we've scored those edges, it will fold in nicely at the top, even though my camera's having a bit of trouble focusing on that. Come a little bit too close to the camera. It's not having a good time. So I might just let that refocus for a second. Come on. Come on, refocus. Oh, you can focus on my hand there. That's pretty good. It doesn't want to focus back down to here. Okay, while that's focusing, I will fill in the silence by adding the designer series paper to the back. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing in the blurriness. Come on, refocus. I'm just adding now some glue to the back of that smaller piece of designer series paper that I talked about before. So it's actually what's left of that sheet. So it's actually 5.5 inches square. And I'm going to bring that in and just pop it onto the back. Don't know that it actually needed it, but I like the idea of that, sort of using all of that designer series paper up. And that's really annoying me. I might take everything out and see whether it will focus on something smaller. Come on. It's having terrible, terrible, terrible trouble. Not going to do anything for me, are you? Might just turn the camera off briefly. Just bear with me for a second. I wonder if it's the light. I'll increase the light a bit too. We're nearly finished anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. It is getting a bit dark around this side of the house at the moment. So it may be struggling with that. Oh, I think we've got, well, that was better. We've got our light back and the camera's back. Cool. Future for myself, don't make my videos at, what time is it? 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because the light's just not sufficient. Okay, so we'll finish this one off. So as I said, that's a 5.5 inch square piece of cardstock, basically what's left after I cut these side pieces off. And we've got that on the other side from our really cute embossed panel there. So the only thing we really need to do for this one is, now I'm going to grab my hole punch, which my husband insists on stealing on a regular basis to take to his club for punching loyalty cards. Because this one's so large, I'm not going to wrap ribbon all the way around there. I'd be using like a metre of ribbon, I should think. I'm actually just going to put a little hole punch on both sides, as central as I can, and I'm just going to tie this one with a bow. So just getting that as central as I can, not too close to the top because you do not want it to rip. Do the same on the other side. I'm probably going to lose my focus because I'm coming up close, but not too bad. Coming sort of central and hole. So I've basically got just a hole on both sides. Got again some of that red ribbon And once I've got all my goodies in there, I think this is about a 12 inches of ribbon for this one. And I will tie it with a bow. Just like that. So when the goodies or whatever go in there, that's how I'm going to tie that one closed. Okay, I have also, and I have also a tag for this one. Again, it's one of the tailored tags, the same one as we did with the first card. And I'll stamp that and pop a sentiment on as well, but I won't do that now because you watched me do the one for this one, which I might actually do exactly the same. Okay, thanks guys for watching. 41 minutes, that's not too bad. As I said, using some lovely current products with these embossing folders, a future product with this cute tag here. Blushing Bride is the cardstock, and I will pop the measurements for both versions of the box onto my site, onto my website fairly shortly. So thanks for watching me. Hopefully I will probably be watching along depending on what my hosts in Canberra are getting me to do at this very moment, but hopefully you will, I'll be able to catch up with you when I get back during the week. So nice to chat to you all. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you next time. Bye.